this isn't an easy post to make, and the whole point of this isn't for sympathy or anything like that. It's to tell my story, get our story out there, and hope that some sort of change comes from it and nothing like this happens to anyone else. I'm gonna talk, this is the trigger warning, I'm gonna talk about my miscarriage and things that following the miscarriage and my experience of what happened. It's long, it's hard, and I've had to write out a whole set of notes because I don't want to miss anything and I don't want to skip over anything. So I was 12 weeks pregnant when we found out that our baby had stopped developing, and they placed that time frame of around 8 weeks. We'd gone in a few days early before the dating scan because I was experiencing some slight bleeding, and on the 31st of August, around sort of like 7:30 in the evening, I miscarried the pregnancy at home. As clear as anything, I can tell you, and I can describe the features of the baby and what it looked like. So I know 100% it was there and it came out at home, because it did. So because the miscarriages for me have been recurrent, the baby was going to be sent for genetic testing. We'd been given a couple of little sample pots to collect any of the pregnancy products in, and I placed the baby into one of these pots, collected some other bits in the other pot, and then ironically put the pots into an Always Dailies box because that's all I had in the bathroom, and I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know where else to put it because these pots, they give you a see-through. So and at that point I needed to not see it anymore. I'd been there, I'd gone through it, I'd done it, and I didn't want to see anything else for the rest of the evening because it was a Saturday night. I couldn't take it to the hospital at that time. I'd have to wait till Sunday morning. After I miscarried at home, we ended up in A&E because I was experiencing some excessive bleeding, and whilst we were there, the gynaecologist came round and did the whole exam and removed additional material and also sent that for testing to histology. Sunday morning, we took the pregnancy up to the early pregnancy unit to be sent for the genetic testing and then to be passed on to the burial ground associated with the hospital, where we could track and trace and visit this place if we wanted to. I thought that was it done then. But on the 9th of September, we received a letter stating there was no viable DNA that was able to be collected from the pregnancy, and therefore results were inconclusive for genetic testing. That was okay. I was okay with that. The testing was just an additional level. It was just to see if there was anything that could have given us a hint of what had happened. And we were prepared for the fact that 80% of these tests come back inconclusive. So, 12th of October, I received a phone call from the current loss clinic to discuss the test results that we'd already had back. I asked about the genetic testing and was told that there was no fetal matter identified. Obviously, I questioned it because I know I took in a fetus and was categorically told by them repeatedly, no fetus present, only womb lining from a pregnant woman. That came with a whole load of emotions, as now my baby was lost, and it was like losing the whole pregnancy all over again. So the next day I made contact with the early pregnancy unit to find out what was going on, and a few calls and a few days later we were told that they would look into it and trace the pregnancy through the testing route and to the burial ground and be back in contact. I hadn't heard from them for a month now, and I rang them again on this Tuesday, the one that's just gone, to follow up just to see what was going on. I knew it was going to cause so many more emotions, and I was ready for that, but I was also expecting the door to be closed on it and to know exactly where my baby was, and it should have been in the burial ground, and I was expected to have that location and be able to go visit if I wanted to. But instead of the comfort of knowing that my baby was safe and had been buried, I was told, and I think it was that histology have no record of a fetus being received. In the last 3 days have been filled with multiple phone calls from the hospital, and the final call today was where they said they are unable to ascertain where the baby is. There's no record of it. There's no process that it's gone through. They can't find it, so they can't find my baby. I gave it to them in the hope that, or thinking it would be looked after and it would be safe and cared for, even though it was gone. But now I have to face the reality that I'm never going to know where my baby is. I don't know if it was because I took it in an always box and it's just got thrown away. I don't know what's happened to it, or if it's got hurt more. And as silly as that sounds, I know it had died and it was already gone, but I didn't want anything else to hurt that little baby. So the whole process has dragged on for 2.5 months, and there is no closure to it, and there's never going to be any closure to it. But my hope with sharing this, and my whole reason for sharing the miscarriage story so soon after it happened, was to let people know that they are not alone. And if that story helped just one person, I'm okay with that. And that's exactly the same reason for putting this out there. I don't want anything like this to ever happen to anyone else. I don't want anyone to have to go through it again. I mean, already as a result of my experience, the hospital has said that they are changing policies for recording pregnancy material. But for me, that's not enough. The whole process has to change. Like, it's made me second guess if I actually saw the baby. But I know I saw it. I saw features. I saw arms and legs. I saw little eyes forming. I know it was there. And I know the relief I felt seeing that it didn't look hurt at the end. It just looked peaceful. Right? I mean, I don't know what else can be done, but I don't want anyone to do this, to have to go through this again. I mean, I'll say that the ladies at the early pregnancy unit who I have been in contact with have been amazing the whole way through, from telling us that the pregnancy was no longer viable and the baby there was no heartbeat, everything like that, all the way through to doing everything they can now to get me answers and to bring me comfort. I couldn't fault them at all, but it's the process that's following the EPU that's been hard. It needs to change. And if the pain and the emotions that I felt over the last couple of days, or couple of months really, change things, then that's one positive that can come out of this. And I hope I'll find my closure by helping others. That's it.